Hello everyone and welcome back to another video for Honkai Impact 3rd. Today I want to talk to you about some basic team building that you will need to know as a new player. So first of all, if you are coming from another similar gacha game, I want to let you know that there are no elemental reactions here unlike Genshin Impact. There is no weakness break here unlike Star Rail. What we do have is countering types, which is actually very similar to Reverse 1999 if you've ever played that game. So with the countering types, we can see here in this little image, you can see Psi counters Mech, Mech counters Bio, and Bio counters Psi. Now, when you first start playing the game, it's going to give you a tutorial about this, and it is going to tell you that it is important. And what I want you to know is that this is unimportant 90% of the time. As long as a unit is well built, even if you're dealing a little bit less damage to it, that does not matter. The only thing that you get from the countering types is that, for instance, if your Psi type is countering a Mech type, you would do an extra 30% damage bonus to it. Now, that 30% may make a big difference if you're doing some end game content such as Arena, Abyss, or you really need that boost in maybe Elysian Realm. But the rest of the time, you can just ignore these three types on the side. Now here, Imaginary and Quantum, they can counter each other. Again, mostly unimportant. SD type, this is very important. The only counter to SD type is SD type. So for example, this week in Memorial Arena, you can see we have an SD type boss when we click on it. The only thing you can counter this SD type boss with is an SD type unit. If you choose to not bring an SD type unit to this battle, you can still do it, but you're just gonna be having less fun of a time. Now, the only SD type characters in the game currently is older Crucio, known as Cosmic Expression. You can get her from the Asterite shop. She's gonna be your best option until Senadina comes back. And then there's also Senadina, the Part 2 unit, but she is a limited banner, and you have to catch her on a rerun. So, with that being said, you want to make sure that you are bringing that SD type to an SD boss. But the rest of the time, this chart doesn't really matter. Now, what I do want to let you know about is that what does matter in this game is the element. So, for example, if we look at Natasha here, Midnight Absinthe, she has a fire symbol. So in this game, what we generally have is a mono element team. And mono means one. So you're going to have, for instance, one damage dealer and generally two supports of the same element. So in order to take a look at some teams, I'm just going to go back here real quick so I can get to my preset team list. So for instance, here I have an ice team. I've got Hersher Elysia, she is a main damage dealer, and then I've got Pardophilus, who is an ice support, and then I've got Haxor Bunny, who is also an ice support. Under lightning here, I've got Hersher Thunder May, she is a main damage dealer, and then we've got Fischl and Eden, who are lightning supports. Prometheus here, she is a physical unit, and then Senti and Starlit Astrologos are supporting her. So generally, when you're building a team, you're always going to have one main damage dealer and two supports. Now this exception here is my fire team. A-Chain is kind of like the only support. I don't have Hersher of Truth. Hersher of Truth would be the other option here, so I just have Siren here. But Siren and Fang Huang are both main damage dealers. And then, of course, with the Astral Ring here, I don't actually have a Part 2 main damage dealer, so I've just got Coralie and Helio. But whenever you're creating a team, you want to keep in mind one main damage dealer, two supports. Main damage dealer, supports. Main damage dealer, supports. Main damage dealer, and supports. So that's what you want to keep in mind when you are creating a team. Now, besides the elements, I want to briefly talk about the types of the elements. Here we go, filter. Yeah. So, there are four main types of the elements. You have physical, you have fire damage, you have ice damage, and you have lightning damage. Now, all of these other little substats or minor categories, and the most notable one that you are going to need to pay attention to is bleed, because bleed is a substat that you can make a team completely around. For example, Valkyrie Quicksand or Susanna is a bleed support, Older Percio or Cosmic Expression is a bleed support or bleed damage dealer, Younger Percio is a bleed support, and Lunar Vow Crimson Love does do bleed damage. So that's going to be one of the most important ones that you want to take note of. Something else you want to take a look at is Paralyze. Paralyze can be used as a team substat. And then, well, they don't have Rhyme Chroma on here. You would take a look at Freeze. But some ice characters do stack Rhyme Chroma, which quickly chips away units' health. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that. Let me see. And then the reason that having these elements does matter is, for instance, if we go to Universal Mirage. So for example, Glacial Fences, you need ice damage in this one. Illuminated Land, you need fire damage. Roaring Palace, you need lightning damage. And Blade Grave, you need physical damage. I don't think it's going to tell us in here. Let me see. Ah, yes, here. So if we click on any of these stages, please note where it'll say all enemies take 70% more ice damage and 70% less other types of damage. So when you are clearing this, you're going to need to bring the ice character because you're just going to have an absolutely miserable time otherwise. And you can see that reflected down here where it says ice with the up arrow and everything else with the down arrow. The reason that you need to clear Universal Mirage is you get these currency, ether fuel, you need that to create part 2 stigmata, and then you get items for part 1 stigmata that's important for characters such as Sirid or Pink Elf Elysia. Besides that, when you are doing Memorial Arena, for example, this one doesn't have any elemental damage bonus. No, none of these have elemental damage bonus this week. But if they did, it would show you that same little up and the down arrows. This week is just mostly type counters. And then in the Abyss, for instance, it says Conductor, enemies take 15% bonus lightning damage, use the skill to deal damage, and make enemies take bonus lightning damage. Now, you don't necessarily need to bring a lightning character to this. If you have your part 2 trio, if you have the Hersher trio, you're probably set, but keep in mind the Hersher trio still comes with lightning damage. You can choose to avoid this, but generally you're going to have a better time if you just bring the matching element. Now, something that I do want to point out with your team building. Now, while I said that you need the 1 main damage dealer and the 2 supports of the same element, there is going to be 2 exceptions to this. And the exceptions to this is going to primarily be the 2 trios. So let me see if it'll let me put the trios in here. Well, first we'll talk about Hersher Trio. I see that it's gonna let us talk about them. I don't have the Hersher Trio, which is why I'm just putting them here as the preview. So, with the Hersher Trio, you're going to have Hersher of Finality Kiada, Hersher of Origin May, and Hersher of Truth Branya. Now, the reason that this is an exception is because these 3 characters are meant to work completely with each other. They have a bonus. For example, they deal more elemental damage, they deal more damage based on each other, they perform joint attacks on field with each other, and all 3 of these empower each other, which is why the Hersher Trio is a very powerful tool. However, as a new player, you are probably not going to see these guys or be able to use them because they are all limited banners, all at different times. So unless you get really lucky, for instance, currently you can complete different tasks to get free Hersher of Origin, and then you would just need to collect one of these other 2. They may be on your starter banner, or you may be able to get them when they rerun. But the Hershey Trio is very good, and they are an exception to team building because they are different elements. So when you look at Hershey Finality, she is a fire DPS, Hershey of Origin is lightning, and Hershey of Truth is ice. And because they're all different elements, but they work together with each other, that's why they're an exception. Now, the other exception, let's go here to Realms of Battle. It should... no, that's Konya. That's Thalima. Let's just send Adita by herself. Isn't there one up here with... here they are. Yeah, so when you look at the Part 2 Mars Trio, again, similar to the Hershey Trio, these guys are different elements. So Senadina is lightning, Coralie is fire, and Helia is lightning. So they're two different mixed elements, but the reason that they work with each other is that they all have the Astral Ring, and because the Astral Ring is new to Part 2, and there aren't any other units that share it, well, Thalima does now that Thalima is out, but that's the main reason that they work together, is that you have to use them all because they were the only ones that share the Astral Ring. So those are the only two exceptions to the basic team building rule, that you're going to have 1 DPS and 2 supports, and they're going to be the same element. And you're generally going to want to stick to that pattern outside of this Part 2 trio and outside of the Hershey Trio. Now, in addition to looking at the types of characters, you also want to look at, for example, the guide. So we're going to click on like Itran, and we're going to look at guide. It's going to tell you some information about her. So for example, on Chrono Navi, she is a fire support, ignite, and she regenerates SP for the team. So when you click on different characters, it'll tell you about them up here in the guide. So for example, Susanna, she is a physical damage healer, bleed support. Let me see here. Here's Eden. Lightning support, paralyze, SP regen. So clicking on this detail will tell you their exact role. In addition, when you click on something like this is Time Mastery, which time slows enemies, and then there's Paralyze. So if you click on the Paralyze option, it's going to also show you all of the related characters who can also trigger Paralyze or work with Paralyze. So for example, if Paralyze is your main goal, you would probably use like Hershey of Thunder May, you would use Fallen Rosemary, and you would use Eden, because all 3 of them are lightning characters and they all have Paralyze. If we are looking at Bleed, you can click on Bleed. It will show you all of the characters who can use Bleed. So generally when you're using older Crucio, you would use younger Crucio. Personally, I don't do that because that's like Crucio Inception. That's like too many Crucios. And then you would use Susanna, or you could use both of them along with like maybe Lunar Vow, because Lunar Vow is the most powerful Bleed character. If you click on physical, it'll show you all of the physical characters that fit that criteria. Let me see. Fast attack. This is a good category as well that you want to pay attention to. And again, it'll show you everybody who can do fast attacks. So when in doubt, you always want to look at the guide. It'll tell you exactly their role. Another thing to keep an eye out for is enemy gathering. This is really useful when you are doing content such as Abyss and you need everybody gathered up. It'll tell you like their role. Hershey of Sentience, she is mostly a support unit, even though she is an S rank. If you look at, here's like Haxor Bunny. She does ice support, deals damage off the field, and when in doubt, it will show you a video of their gameplay. It'll show you like team recommendations. And where is my Hershey of the Void? Because I want to show you. There it is. So here's like aerial attack. That's another category as well that's important. And then time mastery triggers time slow. So So these are all kind of like subcategories over here. The main thing that you need to pay attention to is the main categories such as physical, ice, fire, lightning, and then with the subcategory, if you're doing bleed, if you're doing paralyze, that's great. But if not, again, you just want to make sure that you are having 3 characters of the same damage type, unless you're using Herrscher Trio or unless you're using the Part 2 Trio. So I think that's everything that I need to tell you about that. I'm going to highlight some different units here. I know we already talked about Achan. I'm going to go back to her real quick. So Achan, she's pretty much your only fire support. So if you have any kind of main fire damage dealer, you have to get Achan, because unfortunately she is the only one until we get more fire supports. But she is excellent at what she does. Very good unit. Next one I want to show is Fischl. Where's she at? Here is Fischl. So Fischl is a lightning support. She also is a sub DPS. She provides a big damage boost, and that damage boost is Oz. If you play Genshin Impact, this is literally the same gameplay. You're gonna hold her attack button, it's gonna summon Oz, and Oz does the same thing that he does in Genshin. He just deals a heck ton of damage and puts lightning out on everybody, basically. He just does his lightning damage. Now, you can only have one Oz out at a time, same as in Genshin Impact. So if you do her ultimate animation and it summons Oz, that counts as your instance of Oz. I did already show Eden, but I'm going to show her again, just because I want to go down the list. Lightning support, paralyze, SP regen. She does excellent SP regen, so if you are using any lightning character who really needs to be using their ultimate all the time, such as Aponia or Thunder May, you pretty much need to have Eden with her. Starlight Astrologos, I want to show here. She is a physical support. She is excellent. What she does is she does a joint attack on the field. So for example, if you are battling an enemy, you see the QTE blink for her and click on it, she will just show up and she will do a little bit of enemy gathering and joint attack, which is really great. Because since she does a joint attack, you don't actually have to switch to anybody else on the field. So she is very excellent at what she does. And then with the Haxor Bunny, I know I already showed her as well. She is an ice support. Similar to Starlight Astrologos, she performs a joint attack. Now, in order to do this, when you are playing a team with her, you need to first hit the enemies with a few of her attacks till you see her little drones show up. Once you see a couple of these drones, then you can switch to your main damage dealer. And then anytime her QTE blinks and you click on it, she will show up and do a joint attack in which she summons more drones. She will also be able to cast her ultimate without being on field, which is useful, and the ultimate provides a big debuff and damage bonus. Then we've got Pardo Felis, Reverest Calico. Where are you at, Pardo? There you are. With Pardo, she also boosts the team SP regeneration, so she is like the ice version of Eden. She provides freeze, and she stacks Rhyme Trauma. Rhyme Trauma is important with certain ice characters such as Silverwing NX or Herrscher of Reason. What Rhyme Trauma does is the more stacks of Rhyme, the more ice damage that they will take. And then we've got Susanna. Where is Susanna at? There's Susanna. With Susanna, she deals bleed damage. She's gonna trigger Perfect Judgment. It's like makes enemies take more bleed damage. So she's gonna be you can use her as a main DPS or as a bleed support. I typically use her as a bleed support, but if you don't have a lot of options for physical damage, you can use her as a main DPS. However, playing her is like playing a rhythm game. If you are not into playing rhythm music games, she is probably not for you. But again, you can try her out in character trials. Then we've got Older Mercio. Older Crucio provides lightning support and bleed damage, so you are typically going to be using her with the Lunar Vow Crimson Love, simply because she provides both of these roles. She provides bleed trauma, she increases the team's physical and lightning damage, which is why she's going to go with the Lunar Vow Crimson Love. Her equipment is currently what's up on the Focus banner. She is an excellent character, and she is also one of the only SD characters you're going to be able to get if you don't have Zenadina. There is also younger Crucio. She's going to be way down here because I don't have my younger Crucio leveled. So younger Crucio also provides bleed trauma. She increases the team critical rate, and you will typically see her and older Crucio both used in the same team. Then we've got Hersher of Yada. Where's she at? This is the Yada brick. We just call her Hersher of Yada. I know her name's Hersher of Sentience, but she's known as Sentier Yada. What she does is she gathers the enemy, she provides Impair, a damage boost, and most importantly, if you have the Yada brick, what you will do when she casts her ultimate is you'll be able to attack enemies with this brick, and it deals a heck ton of damage. So she supports the team by killing all the enemies so the team doesn't have to. We've got Drive Cometa. My Drive Cometa is probably up here. So, Drive Cometa is actually the name of the outfit once you unlock the 4-star Augment Core. It is an upgrade for the Yamabuki armor. And what Drive Cometa does is gathers the enemies, provides a very strong shield, a utility support for physical team. She also debuffs the enemy. So she is very good. You can just upgrade your Yamabuki armor. You're going to use these augment cores that you get from the Asteroid shop. You can go all the way up to 6-star, but you need to be up to 4-star to activate the outfit. I think she's pretty good, honestly. And then there's Azure Imperia. Where's she at? So Azure Imperia is an elemental support. She provides elemental breach, she gathers the enemy, she applies vulnerability, and she boosts damage. If you are running Abyss or on a element heavy week, for instance lightning, fire, any element week, you can use her. It will make your life a little bit easier just because she gathers them and she provides all of these excellent support options. Fallen Rosemary. She provides lightning damage, stacks paralyzed trauma. She's really good. Basically the way you will play Fallen Rosemary is you will be attacking until you get her 2 stacks of her bar, and then you're going to hold down on that weapon skill. It's going to apply a huge lightning circle in which when the enemy stands in it, it's going to do extra lightning and paralyzed damage. And then of course her ultimate provides like a big stationary lightning attack, which is really great. She's an S rank support unit. Support units, like I should have mentioned this before, they come in 2 types where they have SP, which stands for support when used in this context, and then there's S rank units where they're an S rank but their primary role is support. Where's Sushang? Here is Sushang. She is one of the best ice supports you can get. She provides SP regen and elemental breach. Something I do want to point out with Sushang, when you're switching through her for her QTE, you do not want to stand on her swords to do ranged attacks. It doesn't do very much damage. You want to hold down on her attack. It launches all of the swords at the enemy at once, and that is where the damage comes from. Don't just be standing up there on the swords unless you're trying to actively dodge something. Celestial Hymn. Where's she at? Oh, that's Luna Kindred. Oops. Too many Tariri. We called Teresa Tariri. She gathers the enemy, defense reduction, damage boost, physical support. She's good. There are better options, but if you're a Tariri enjoyer, she does her best. Hersher Rebirth. I do not have Hersher Rebirth. But Hersher Rebirth is an excellent option. Let me see if I can find her down here. Oh, it's not going to tell me. Oh, here we go. Here's the guide for her. So Hersher of Rebirth, she plays a little bit differently because she's got two different Hersher forms. She provides damage, support, and buffs. She is good. She is a little bit difficult to get used to. So if you're brand new and complicated things aren't quite for you, maybe not. However, she's one of the best options you can put with any physical unit if you do have her. I think that's all of the S-rank support that I wanted to cover. The only other ones down here that I don't have, for instance, Lightning Empress, you will see her used in arena teams. You don't really see her too much, but she boosts SP, lightning support, and applies lightning vulnerability. So you might see her used on like a lightning heavy arena week. But primarily it's important to pick, like I said, the main DPS and then the two supports. So, for instance, a common pairing that you're going to see is going to be like an Ice DPS, and then you would use like Su Shang, you can use Pardo, you can use Haxor Bunny, or you can use, where's she at? Kira Sugar. She's a very common choice for support because she does a lot of good sub DPS. She provides a lot of rhyme trauma. So typically you'll see her stacked with Su Shang. But again, just pick the two characters that you like that work within that team. Because there's many options. Now, unless you're playing a fire team, there's not many options. You're stuck with iTrain, and that's how it is. But like if you're playing Ice, your option is you can have Pardo, you can have Su Shang, you can have Haxor Bunny, you have all the options. But like I said, it's one main damage dealer and two support, unless you're using one of the trio. So that is all that is important to know about the team building in this game. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below this video, and I hope you did learn some useful information. I will see you back in another Honkai Impact 3rd guide.